Someone stole my booth. Greetings, Infinity Night fanatics. Or I see some of the Association for the Appreciation of Associates out there. And some of you just casual spectators. Welcome to the 50th anniversary of the celebration of Gallifrey, is that? Oh, well, I've been there, sure. It's actually a wonderful, healthy planet with a vibrant, lively civilization. They do have a story about this one chap who goes traveling around telling people he's the last of his kind, but, oh, it's crazy. Literally, they think he's insane. Anyway, I'm so pleased to be here. I thank you very much for that wonderful introduction. I'm going to pass it on back to Matthew, and we'll have some fun later on, eh?
All right. Well, I just want to open up. Does everybody remember their first Inspector Spacetime? Because I want to talk about fans today. What are your fondest memories of Inspector Spacetime? Don't be shy.
It's all right if it's me.
The death of Jeffrey.
That was one of my favorite moments as well.
And the third death of Rory Williams.
Well, he was on this show before he was on that other show. I mean, Inspector Spacetime was the launching pad, really, for his career. And we're very happy that he's had success on that other show. Anyone else? No. Everybody was satisfied with Jeffrey's death, because nobody liked Jeffrey.
I should say, like,
I liked Jeffrey.
I didn't like Jeffrey, but he wasn't awful. Like who else thinks he wasn't the worst thing in the world? Anyone? Thank you. Good. Yes. Good.
The worst thing in the world was Horsebot 3000, and I was very happy when he died. Everybody who loved Horsebot is wrong.
Horsebot was great, especially that bit when he saved the day from the Space Buccaneers. That was really, really inspired.
I was rooting for the Space Buccaneers. Sorry.
You should be sorry. That's blasphemous.
Come on, memories, people. Come on. What?
The TV movie.
It's been really great that he's gone on to such stardom after getting a star on.
Frankly, nobody liked it at the time. It's not until Steve became a huge star in America that everybody started liking the TV movie.
I heard they even have a restored prop somewhere here at the convention.
No, really, I'll have to check that out.
Well, like a fine smelly cheese, it has aged well with time. The movie. Yeah. Actually, the movie's what got me in. I have to, you know, that's probably a sad confession to make, but when I saw the movie, I was like, what is this? I need more. And then I discovered all of this back catalog, and it was wonderful. And then the new series came back, and I couldn't get enough. And then, you know, Peace blew my mind. I mean,
I'm actually kind of in a similar boat. Like I started watching with the Steve Carell movie because it was Steve Carell and I knew who he was. It was terrible, and it was terrible. We can agree. Even if you liked it, it was a pretty bad movie. But that's actually what inspired me to write for the show. Like I wanted to kind of improve what it was doing, what it was trying to do. That's kind of how I got involved.
How about the holiday special? I mean, I know it's
I like the advanced use of holograms. I thought that we were pushing envelopes with that. Now, are there people, I wonder, are there enough people who are not familiar with Inspector Spacetime, especially the earlier years? Are there some people just here because, hey, it's a crowded room and lots of people laughing? Did you go through the history?
Well, not yet. Pull that.
Might be a good time. Sure. And I have to say that Peace Mist has its audience. I'm not really a fan myself of family-friendly fare. It's a little too Disney for me. But I like a harder edge on my sci-fi.
But Rise of the Blogon Woman was fabulous. I've seen it like 120 times. I mean, you have to admit that was pretty fluffy.
Sure.
I mean, it was fluffy in a good way.
But did they have to make her fly by giving her actual fairy wings? I feel like there was a better way around that.
All right, well, let's move on to the history, shall we? Of Inspector Space, not that.
Take it away.
All right. Next one, please. The first inspector. Leslie French. Only stayed for one season because he wanted to go work in Italy on that little movie, The Leper. He stayed, but he's the one who got the next one on, Christopher Lee. Now, most people think of him as, well, sort of a very much darker, very more strange and surreal inspector, simply because he was working at Hammer at the time, doing the Hammer horror films, and for his own time restrictions, most of his adventures were filmed on the sets where he was wearing the costume. Of Dracula.
In one scene, you can actually still see his fangs. It's fabulous.
And that was explained away by the mad dental hygienist. Next, we come to Bernard Fox.
I will never accept an inspector with a mustache.
He was there for 4 years, did much other great work at the time, but then, of course, he went on to fame in The Mummy, the 1990s Brendan Fraser film. Then, at the end of the black and white years, we have the fourth Inspector, Maris Goring, magnificent actor, very facially expressive, but didn't talk very much. He was very, very popular on crew. The fifth, Linda Bellingham. The female inspector, who then went on later to work on that other show.
I get told by crew a lot, I wish you could be a little more Linda. I don't know what they mean, but I take it as a compliment.
Next up. Graham was doing this for the money, basically. He wasn't ever having really a good time. He was very down in the dumps and drinking an awful lot, and that's why he's known as the dour doctor. That outfit that his inspector wore was actually the clothes he wore any given day of the week.
I often get told I wish you could be a little less grand.
Well, yeah, and I was reading this one thing at one point.
You know who this guy is? Well, alas, he rode the show out to its final original classic series season. Stephen Fry went on to great things, especially when he was working on A Bit of Hugh and Laurie. He's done a couple of other things more recently, but I'm not really much up on them. I don't guess there was much no.
There's a quiz show or something.
I just don't like actors whose last names are verbs.
And then what And Anne Hathaway got a lot of work after being on this show. Now, I'm not altogether terribly familiar with the rest of these people. Is classic black and white. But this guy's done something with that kid beside him. Something. Inspector Space was very, very good for his career. Allowed him to go do, what was that wizard?
He never would have done Harry Potter if it weren't for Inspector Spacetime with us. So he really owes us a deep debt of gratitude, and I'm still waiting for my call.
Next up, Daniel Landlord, otherwise known as Chris Irby, otherwise known as Daniel Landlord. There were rights issues with each name that he decided to use. So that was.
It's still tied up in court, I think.
It still is. I'm not even supposed to say his name.
Yeah, I think you have to like pay royalties to poor people, and you know.
Next up is
That means a lot. Thank you for showering me with self-esteem. I got a little flack, actually, my first year. A lot of people did not like such a young inspector. And, but it seems to have worked out, eh?
Right, but still, memories. What do you fans remember about the show? What was your first show? Name some episodes. Come on, don't be shy. Yes.
My first introduction to the show was the audios, actually. I never saw any of the video until
that little star. That's very good. We're going to hear from one night, but has anybody seen them?
No, they're at the bar. I mean, all the time. Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Terror of the Blogons. I was 18 and watching it behind the couch. That's how scary it was.
Wow, yeah. Yeah, I watched that late night while drunk, and bad stuff happened. Bad stuff. Yeah.
We actually go back to a lot of the scarier ones these days just to get inspiration. So if you like some of the darker episodes, like in the past year or so, it's actually in part because of stuff like that.
I want to know, are you going to release the extras that were on the Laserdisc since?
Unfortunately, you're asking the wrong person. I'm actually just a staff writer. Yeah, I know. I mean, everybody's kind of pushing for it, but nobody really knows. It's a whole lot of legal stuff.
The producers would have been here, but they're at their day job at the Nominette Denny's. And they just couldn't get off shift. They would really love what we wanted. They're very sorry. Yes?
I wanted to know if you could explain the plot of the charity special, Dimensions in Space-Time.
I didn't understand it really. I thought it was sort of like a television choose-your-own-adventure.
I think it was attempting to tie up a lot of loose ends, but they either like forgot specifics or they remembered specifics that they had come up with like in the writer's room that never actually made it to air. So it just, no, really, and it just kind of made like a big hot mess. And
I heard somebody forgot to put page numbers on the script, and it just got out of control.
I don't know if that's true, but yeah, I mean, it got weird. I'll admit that it got pretty weird.
You're all being very harsh. I thought it was very simple. It's very reverse temporal mechanics, in which every decision we make causes an alternate past to exist for us behind us. And so if you travel back in time, you can choose which past of yours you can visit. It's really very simple.
My introduction was actually the novels, and particularly the ones written by John Norman, like Slave Girls of the Inspector, and also the Ayn Rand one that was... I thought they were really spectacular. I thought they really delved into the character.
We try not to accept that as official canon. And there's an argument to be made, definitely.
There is no canon.
The thing is,
everything's canon if nothing is canon.
A lot of those were actually written as completely separate novels, and then kind of like they shoehorned in the Inspector universe. So it's, I mean, it gets a little bit muddy, which is why it's hard to really just fully accept it.
And I don't read. So.
Well, I actually started, I didn't know what I was watching. My dad was a huge fan. And the show was, there was this one episode with like 3 different guys in bowler hats. And I had no idea what I was watching, but it was the coolest thing ever. It was only later I found out that it was the mashup, the crossover.
The Hercule Poirot.
Yeah.
And the reason that one has not been shown, and we can't even get it, or do anything to it if we could, is because of the rights issues. Because the Agatha Christie estate was, well, that's why there was no 86, 87 season, because that's how much money it cost in court.
How did they get Poirot on the air then?
Well, they just didn't tell anybody that they were doing it.
They were just like, oh, fat guy with a mustache. We'll just not name him, it'll be fine. But that's where my ring came from. That episode, and I loved it so much on the screen that like I probably spent about 2 years just, with screen caps and jewelry and trying to make it exact, and it almost destroyed my marriage. And but it's okay, we're better now. He accepts that,
Moving on.
I feel like nobody on this side of the room has any memories.
I really love the Inspector's husband, and I was just wondering what you thought about filming such a hot button topic.
It was pretty hot. I ship it.
It was, I learned very recently, it was an idea we blatantly stole from Star Trek. Which I never watched, but I've heard it was decently famous here in the States. But the idea was also very sweet, where the inspector, as a woman, had a husband who, when he met the new inspector, they still had feelings for each other. And I thought it was a really interesting way to take on same-sex marriage and be a little bit proactive in that community, as well as tell a good piece of science fiction.
And be hot.
The thing is, in the room, you can't really think about, like, you know, how are we going to deal with this issue, or, you know, what are we going to say about it? You tell a good story, and you do what you can, and you hope that it kind of resonates. The one discussion that we did have, though, was whether we wanted to have Travis in drag, like we ultimately did, or actually recast with a woman just for the visual, you know, aesthetic. And I think we made the right choice. Do you guys, yes? Yeah.
As the first openly gay inspector, it was something that was important to me to make sure that the fans had that, because I know that we have a lot of LGBT fans, and it's something that they are often unrepresented in television. So, but I do want to talk more about fans, because you guys in the Inspector Space-Time universe, it exists because of you. And I just want to say, being on the inside and seeing the amount of creativity that has been born on the internet, based purely on your imaginations, and we steal, quite frankly, from you all the time.
So you are reading the fanfic?
Oh yeah, oh absolutely, absolutely. Some of the best stuff is out there on the internet. But I do talking a little bit about the use of. Segueing into a little bit of the Inspector on American television and being on Community and stuff like that. I'm gonna segue a little out of character a little bit. We've got some exciting stuff for you coming up, and I want to get this covered. The being on Community, a lot of people when I've been walking around have asked me what that was like, and it was. The cool thing about it was that everybody familiar with the Inspector Space-Time appearance on Community? Do you want to play the clip real quick, just for people who aren't?
God, how many things do you have open?
These more too complicated to last.
Okay.
Rita!
It's a British sci-fi series. It's been on the air since 1962.
Rita, you've done enough, okay? Why don't you go start a Ruiners Club? Oh wait, bro, just ruin it.
Well, then I'd be doing a good job because it's a Ruiners Club.
You ruined my analogy.
Blimey, Inspector. Where have we wound up this time? The question isn't where, Constable, but when. Inspector, look out! Lock-ons!
Nicholas Briggs. It's the best show I've ever seen in my entire life.
In that episode, Abed watches two shows. He watches Cougar Abbey. And when I went in, I auditioned for both those shows within a show. And they originally cast me as the guy in Cougar Abbey because they were going to give the Inspector Space-Time thing to a friend of the producers. And then they, but I made a point to say when I went into the casting office, I'm much more excited about this one line in Inspector Space-Time than the two scenes for Cougar Abbey, because as a Doctor Who fan, I was very, I knew that it was going to be big. I had no idea it was going to be big. And so when they called me up, they called me up like a couple days before the shooting, and they said, do you mind taking over the inspector role instead? And I said, yes, please. And so we went and did that, and we did 3 episodes. We showed up in the, because it was such a hit, after the premiere aired, that weekend the internet went crazy for Inspector Space-Time. And they called me up the next Tuesday and said, can you come in on Friday and shoot more Inspector Space-Time for the episode that's going to air the next Thursday? So they were shooting episode 8 at the time, but they wanted for me to come in and try to shoot some stuff for episode 3. And it ended up being episode 4, the Chaos Theory episode. Brilliant television. That's Chris McKenna wrote that. And you can hear the audio from the scene. but you can't see, they didn't have enough time to actually put the camera on the TV and show you the episode. But it was really cool. We had a lot of fun. It was actually the best clip because it's a little repartee between the inspector and the constable. And then we came back for the Christmas episode where you see some of the Inspector Spacetime holiday special, which was also a lot of fun to do. So, but it's such an amazing thing to go out on the internet and see fans make something out of a 15-second clip. Fans created, and I was there with them. Because I'm a fan, and so I wanted to be a part of that. And so I was after my first shoot, before it actually aired, Eric and I wrote the Inspector Spacetime web series, which we're going to read the first episode of today. It's good stuff. And so I knew what we had. We had sat down for hours before anybody knew what Inspector Spacetime was, and we're like, okay, what is the TARDIS called? What is the race called? What is the difference between the Doctor and the Inspector? And we'd done all sorts of stuff. But then fans went and created an entire history of this.
If you guys haven't gone to like the TV Tropes page, or like, it's amazing. It's incredible.
TV Tropes, Inspector Spacetime Confessions on Tumblr.
Yeah.
It's wonderful reading. And there's also a Pro Boards page. If you look up Inspector Spacetime Pro Boards, be a part of that. Help form the canon. You can write episodes. They're handing out, assignments for that. And it's just been really, really fantastic. So you guys deserve all the credit for the fact that this even exists right now. So and the cool thing is, the most important thing is that they're listening to you. Television executives, especially the smart ones like Dan Harmon and the people at Community, listened to you. It's because you guys went crazy that first weekend that they said, we got to do more so we can give these people what they want. They have shot the last half of the season of Community. I didn't go in again for any other Inspector Spacetime stuff. They did call me, but they ended up getting written on the script. So, and they're still kind of unsure whether or not it's coming back for a 4th season. But no, it's not a sure thing. It hasn't been canceled. So what you guys can do is, go on Twitter and you can Twitter Dan Harmon. You can Twitter NBC Community. You can Twitter the other people involved with the show and post things on Tumblr and post things on your blogs and post things on YouTube. I have Brian Giovanni wrote the original song, which you're going to hear in a little bit if you haven't heard already. The original theme song for Inspector Spacetime. And
I was instructed how to compose it, essentially. Well, so much using my own creativity. Like, okay, what is it? How does it work? What is it like? How can I blend all this together? And thanks to you guys, I made the greatest song that I didn't know existed already out there.
Yeah. Well, you guys had already established that the theme song was more orchestral, because the Doctor Who was more synthetic and electronic. So Inspector Spacetime was very orchestral, much more like the kind of Battlestar Galactica theme songs.
The thing that I thought was really cool, and I'm not a music guy at all, but like you just saw in that clip of Community where they have the last note of the Inspector Spacetime intro. Brian worked backwards from that note to make it.
I know. The reality was already established. Like I said, I didn't create this. I had a reverse point. What was it? Reverse temporal time thing?
Yes.
So I had to work backwards, and then start at the beginning, and then it's like it was like a maze, but I knew where I was going. Just had to go backwards.
I ship it.
Yeah, we have time for a couple questions.
First of all, are the NBC execs remotely aware of how excited people got by just this little idea?
Executives are not, by a rule, creative people. They don't pay attention to creativity. They pay attention to dollars. They pay attention to numbers and demographics. So it's the creative people at Community that are very aware of what's going on here. The executives need help. And so the web series that we're going to make, and we're going to make it with your help, we're going to launch a Kickstarter campaign tomorrow. And we're going to make this 6-episode web series, and if it's successful, and we're pretty sure there's we're legally okay. It's a little bit of a gray area, but very light gray.
So rip it as soon as it comes online.
But we're pretty sure. But if it's super successful, I feel like what they would do is probably use it for the DVD, or it would give them a reason to bring it back to the show, and because they would see that the fans really love it.
The other thing is, by the way, there are several people here who want the ribbons.
Oh, I'll be signing at 2 o'clock, and we'll have plenty of ribbons with us.
Because the fact that we are giving out 500 ribbons at this convention, and we're running out, because people are walking up to us and asking for it.
Including excited young girls going, "You've got the ribbons!"
I feel
so she's been.
We need to email NBC directly about the fact that this was just a little thing that we were going to do, and there was such excitement just about the ribbons.
Yeah.
People love this show so much.
Those of you with cameras, those of you with video cameras, please, video and photo and all this stuff, post it, tag it, make sure it gets out there, and then yeah, email anybody that you can find with an email address that has anything to do with community. You know, because they have to learn sometime. Something to note too, Sony produces Community, and it's aired on NBC, so both NBC and Sony people have something to do with this show's future. So, any other questions?
2 questions. Where online are you guys going to be airing the website?
It'll be, I already have a YouTube page where I've done, Eric and I have, and Brian have actually collaborated on several web series. We do a sitcom called Robot Ninja and Gay Guy. Really? It's fantastic.
It has 2 of my favorite things.
I'm curious which 2 they are.
Robots and chicken.
I can neither confirm nor deny.
By the way, real quick question. How many Nerd Fighters are out there right now? My car is parked out in the garage. It's got the DFTBA license plates for California, if you care. But also email Hank, because I'm trying to get him to do a live episode of Inspector Spacetime at VidCon. We are willing to do it, but he hasn't responded yet to me, so he needs some prompting. Yes, exactly.
Everyone who didn't raise their hand for being a Nerd Fighter has no idea what's happening.
Yeah, that's fine, that's fine. We'll move on to other things. Did I answer that question? Well, so we do, my YouTube channel is probably where all this is going to live. It's Sivartis, Sivartis, and I'm there, I'm on YouTube as Sivartis, Twitter as Sivartis, and Tumblr as Sivartis. And you can find me in all those places, and that's where you'll hear about the series. And like I said, the launch is going to happen tomorrow. You'll see the video that I shot outside just before I walked in. So I've got to edit that and put it together, and that's going to be the Kickstarter video. So, and you have a second question.
My other question was an Inspector Space type question.
Yes.
How has craft services improved for your production?
So, well, actually, being the newest inspector, it's actually we have a budget. Which is nice. It's not just Twinkies and water anymore. I understand back in the old days, the actors themselves were asked to bring in food for the group.
That's right, exactly. Whatever they had at home, whatever they could pilfer from local village shops.
Bit of dumpster diving.
No, that was just, that's right.
That's just a rumor?
That's just that.
Okay.
That's right.
It's hard to tell the rumors from the real stuff sometimes.
I hear Bernard Fox actually supported the Jemmy Dodger industry for several years. They're delicious in your belly.
Actually, just a plug for everyone in the room. A bunch of us are launching a zine called Actual Bedhead, dedicated to community. The second half is called But When. And so that's all. If you have any Inspector Spacetime stuff that you want, send it to us, and we're going to aggregate it into the world's worst zine.
Nice. Any other questions? All right. We're going to play first for you the theme song, the original theme song, and then we are going to go into the first episode of the web series, which is only about 3-4 minutes. You broke the TV. You broke technology. Yeah, and again, And again, this is something that, yeah, feel free to, we will have a video of, I'm going to do kind of a better job of putting together this slideshow. We had on the internet, there's a guy by the name of, on YouTube.
Nope.
All right. Good going, bro.
I'm not a technical person.
On YouTube, there's a guy by the name of Shark Eye Jones. It's one word, Shark Eye Jones. He is an illustrator, and he has illustrated a bunch of stuff for me, and he illustrated this, the series the episode that we're going to see. Amazing guy. Look him up, subscribe to him. But you'll see a video version of this episode in a couple of days. Are we ready?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead. Backwards from that final note. There was something I wanted to say about that, but I can't remember what it. That was also available on. I think I put that on my personal channel, which is Travis Ritchie on YouTube. Feel free to take the video, repurpose it, take the song. There's a link in the video info where you can download a fresh version of the song and make your own video intro.
Ringtones, people.
Yeah, use it as ringtone, whatever you want.
It's a complete blessing. Blast it out there.
The only thing we ask is that if you post it, you give Brian credit, but that's it. As far as just write his name on there. Okay, great. Well, we already
equals credit.
Let's open up the slideshow. There we go.
Working back.
That's at the end! Everyone had a good time. No, here we go. All right. Whenever you guys are ready. Here, you want to first one?
Next week on Inspector Spacetime. Outside of a warehouse-looking building, the inspector dissolves into view with a familiar audio effect. The inspector and his companion, the constable, emerge.
Oh, you're going to love this place, Constable.
I am looking forward to a little peace and quiet. Saving that civilization of dog people from certain extinction was harder than I would have thought.
Well, nothing at all to do here. Just explore and relax your worries away.
Where are we, Inspector? Right. I always forget. When are we?
Oh, we are in the year 3,000 million. And this is Second New Old Earth 7.
What was that?
Second New Old Earth 7. Oh, it's marvelous. See, after your Earth became uninhabitable, humans colonized other planets, but the name kept being passed on from Earth to Earth, and Seventh Earth was considered to be the absolute pinnacle of human civilization and enlightenment. So, round about the rise of Earth 42, Old Earth 7 was created as sort of a living museum.
Like Bletchley Park?
Exactly. But then the corporation that ran Old Earth 7 went bankrupt, and the rights were purchased by another who did a major redesign and launched New Old Earth 7. Oh, that was a party. Until a slight miscalculation in the orbit caused it to crash into its sun. And, well, you know what they say about omelets and eggs, so here we are. Second New Old Earth 7, the most peaceful planet in the universe, where absolutely nothing could ever go wrong, ever.
Blimey, Inspector. But why does it look so much like my Earth?
Ah, well, there's a very simple and completely satisfying explanation to that.
Blorgons!
But no, it has absolutely nothing to do with Blorgons.
No, Inspector, Blorgons!
And sure enough, several Gorgons are approaching. Eradicate, eradicate.
Gorgons! Why didn't you say so? My sworn enemy, who I've battled clear across the stars, the most ruthless and dangerous beings in the galaxy, who would just as soon spit out your mother as even look at you.
Inspector, shouldn't we run?
Oh, no, I have this.
With swift motion, the inspector pulls his optic pocket knife from his coat and quickly dispatches the dreaded foe.
Good thing you always carry around your optic pocket knife.
Well, be prepared, I always say.
Right. A regular Boy Scout you are, Inspector.
The two men walk towards the door. As the inspector opens it,
you know, I invented the Boy Scouts.
What was that?
As I was saying, peaceful planet.
They walk through the door.
And you know what they say? Two bad things can never happen in a single adventure.
Who says that?
I did, just then. Shall I say it again?
Just then the heavy door slams shut behind them and latches with audible finality.
Yes, I think you better had.
Beacons flare and lights flash maniacally. All this and more next week. Same space channel, same space time.
And so that's going to be a 6-episode web series, and it will feature the return of the Inspector's arch nemesis, Boyish the Extraordinary.
You are literally and officially the first audience to have heard what you just heard. So, yeah.
I also wanted to do something. A lot of people ask for this, and so I thought I'd just do it for you because it's, some people ask while they're in line getting autographs. And so this is the thing I get the most often. The line, his famous line, it's not a question of where but when, is actually a longer quote that is really quite beautiful, and it goes like this. When you look up at the night sky, what do you see? Stars. Millions upon millions of stars, the light of which is arriving here, at this place, in this moment in time, right now. Millions of stars with billions of planets, all existing at this place in time. So the question isn't where, actually, but when. I think we have a little bit extra time for questions, or?
Questions, observations, fan talk, non-fan talk.
Yes.
What about the upcoming comic book crossover between Inspector Spacetime and Cougarton Abbey?
This joke.
Well, I don't have high hopes. But it's not because they're not going to mean well. They will mean well. But whenever you get the American Protection Team involved, and you start getting writers from the Steve Carell movie involved, I mean, as much as I love it, things cannot help but go horribly awry.
It seems to me that they're making it just to have an excuse to make a motion comic. That's not a good reason to create something.
It's not about the story. It doesn't. I mean, it obviously doesn't make any sense. You know what I mean? Like they don't really exist in the same universe. So it's weird. It's like a neat idea, but to go beyond that is a weird thing.
Well, but at the same time, I mean, if nothing's canon, I suppose it could be canon.
Right, but yeah.
If you do a lot of drugs.
This sounds like forum talk.
I don't know how they're going to bring back the cast of Cougars. You know, and are they going to make it a prequel? Are they going to make it? I don't know. I saw this hand over here first.
Yeah, I was wondering if they're going to stop making self-destructing DVDs for the old season.
It's to force you to buy the VHS.
It's also a rights issue.
I don't understand why they would stop.
Right.
It's been quite successful in scoring sales.
Because, I mean, after the third play, they self-destruct and you have to go get another one.
Yes.
Which renews your contract.
And a new Inspector Spacetime branded player.
Those are expensive. It forces you to enjoy it the way it's supposed to be enjoyed, which is with terror and explosions, but also is a novelization form.
But also it makes you appreciate each viewing, because you know that you only have the three.
So much closer
right,
to the
you know
end.
what I mean? So.
Next season, are you going to address the renewal limit?
We're talking about it, but it's, I mean, nothing's, honestly, that, Travis has been having some input, because he's a producer now, right? Like as of next season, he's officially on board as a producer. So he's been talking a little bit about that, giving us a little bit of input. Do you want to?
I actually don't particularly care so much as I wanted more sex in the show. So, I mean, that may happen, but that may happen independent of me. I'll read what they give me to read.
So there could be a son of Inspector at some point.
There already is, I think, isn't there?
That's really an archive. Like,
No, it happened recently. It was before me.
I don't think.
But they had some.
If it wasn't in the past couple of years, that's not.
That sounds a lot like the Daniel Landlord, Chris Obie. That thing.
Okay.
Well, I mean, you saw him hatch from the egg, but you don't necessarily know that it was the Inspector's egg. I'm just saying that it could be anybody's egg.
I didn't realize that we're talking about that. Wow, that was actually never intended to be. No is the answer. That was never supposed to be his son. It was never supposed to be alluded to. Is that what?
Okay, fine. Yeah, it's totally his son.
No, it's our son.
Well, the fans think it is now, so you're just disappointed if you don't make it his son.
It's canon now.
Travis, your accent seems to come and go. You're not really from Oxford, you're really from Oxnard.
You're saying I'm an incredibly skilled and chameleon-like actor? Thank you. Thank you so much. Very sweet of you. Hello, Inspector. Let's go on down to the bar and get some fish and chips.
I'm British, obviously, and I've grown up with...
I don't believe you. Your accent's a bit spotty.
Tell the truth from where you live. I've grown up with the show. It's so touching to see so many Americans with this my little show that as long as I can remember, my bedroom is smaller on the inside, so and to come here and see all of you, oh, it's just so touching.
I've always wanted a bedroom that was smaller on the inside. My parents they didn't understand.
There is a play set for that coming out too.
Oh my gosh, I love the merchandising. Okay, I made the ring because they didn't do that sort of thing at the time. But the 1974 Laser Watch reproduction, oh my god, works on wood and cheese.
Can I say, I just want to clear it up. It is a bit of a misconception that it's always smaller on the inside. It's only smaller on the inside when there are just the Inspector and his associate inside. But remember, when we had the cast of Cirque du Soleil guest star. We had the entire crew inside there, and the trick is the booth is always slightly smaller than the number of people that are inside. So it is able to grow to accommodate an infinite number of people. It is just always slightly too small.
The legalities with the Douglas Adams estate to have the Inspector Spacetime episode you wrote.
Unfortunately, no, that one is still lost to us. It's very funny though. I've seen it, but I can't say anything about it.
You can read excerpts of the script online.
Those have been revealed to be fake.
Is that true?
Yes.
Oh no. Okay,
Oh yeah, because I found like a torrent of the audio files and. That wasn't
fake. By that some Moffat comedy writer guy.
It's an interesting story. I met Douglas Adams when I was a boy, and he was on tour for Mostly Harmless. And I told him, I said, my dream of dreams is to someday play Inspector Spacetime. And so he signed my copy of the book. Dear Inspector, you're awesome. It's wonderful. Yeah, it's a prized possession. Let's do. You're standing, so that must be tough to hold your hand up so much.
So, what don't you ship?
Horspot and feline.
She draws
The hate that will never die. But I also ship Last Note and Theme Song. So, you know, it balances out in the end.
Moving on.
Something right there in the back, I think. Yes, right, yes.
What are your thoughts on Chris Columbus wanting to make an Inspector Spacetime theatrical release?
Else and no.
It's either him or Michael Bay at the moment.
Oh,
I want you involved, but that's just me.
I mean, first, I know they were kind of all saying everything is canon, everything is canon. If that were to happen, I can't imagine, first of all, that the fans would really latch onto it. Secondly, we would not be able to incorporate that, to incorporate whatever it is that he does into the show, because in the writer's room, you're coming up with ideas nonstop all the time, and to fit it in, it wouldn't make sense. So I'm personally against it, but I would welcome the idea, like whatever idea he has for it, just call it something else. You know what I mean?
Well, and I also heard, I mean, that Chris Columbus rumor comes and goes. It's probably been about 5 years I've been hearing it. But also that Moffat fella that does that horrible Hemlock series, he wants to do an American version of Inspector Spacetime, and I can't abide by it. While I accept the sock puppets as canon, I don't think I can tolerate an American series.
As one of the few American writers on staff, I would actually be interested in that. In an American version, that could be interesting to me.
I've gotten actually calls from all of the Harry Potter directors. They've all been very interested in trying to adapt an Inspector Spacetime into a new theatrical release.
Well, there's a question. Would you sign on as the Inspector in one of their films?
It really depends on how it was written. I feel like I'm a television actor, you know, and doing. And very few television series have been successfully adapted to screen with the original cast. I mean, I can't think of one.
Like X-Files, maybe? Was that?
I can't think of one. We just got a 5-minute warning. Now let's go to the third row there.
First episode I saw was very confusing. I came in after the credits. It was a very scary episode. I think it was called Squint. And the Inspector was just on TV through the whole thing. Was that an intentional Max Headroom ripoff or what?
Actually, that had nothing to do with Max Headroom. Back in the early days, one episode featured Leslie French doing an entire 26-minute long monologue for the entire show.
It was just cheaper that way, you know.
The original script was lost. They had 1 day in studio. And 1 take only. And it was just the magic of editing of him ranting and raving at the cast and crew, taking out the bits where they were throwing things at him.
Oh, so that's why there's that weird bit with the cheese wheel?
Yeah, that's exactly right.
I mean, if he was yelling at cast, I guess, you know, that makes sense.
Coincidentally enough, it's where the phrase "egg on your face" comes from.
That was an homage to the classic series. Yes.
Anybody else?
Scarface.
Everyone loves the blog-ons, but I'm just wondering, for everyone on the panel, what's your personal favorite Inspector Spacetime monster?
The Circuit Chaps. Oh. The Circuit Chaps, or possibly the Penge Creeper.
Horspot was totally evil.
First of all, we should officially fix that pronunciation. It is Blorgons. We can spread that around. Blorgons, first of all. But my actual favorite monster, not actually a monster, but Voyage the Extraordinary. Actually, I always liked him.
I love scary things. I like the snarling lions. I think we're really terrifying. Yes.
Just 2 quick questions. 1, will the Cybercaptor will return? And 2, tell me it's not true that Megan Fox is going to be on.
I can't confirm or deny Megan's involvement at this point. I personally, as a child, loved the cyber. I loved Feline. He was just, I mean.
Everybody loves Steve.
I'm allergic to cats, so I always thought it'd be an amazing thing to have a robot cat. But
the short answer is no. There aren't any current plans to bring back the Cyber Cats. Sorry.
Well, the problem's mainly with the marionettist tune.
They're all a bunch
Those
of
guys
fuckers.
just go on strike, and they're talking about striking again.
Anyone else? Yes.
Should be last one.
Okay, last question. Ooh, last question.
No pressure, make it good.
I think the Inspector Spacetime theme is one of the most iconic in all of television. With all the arrangements that have been done over the years, what would be some of your favorites with the many people that have contributed to it?
My personal favorite, most of you may know from the Avengers, Honor Blackman. She's an avid theremin enthusiast. And in 1967, she made on her own, because she loved the show so much, dedicated fan, she made an entire arrangement played only on the theremin. And we have that at the restoration team, and we will be making it available as soon as we can, well, as soon as you return our phone calls.
I've heard it. It's actually quite extraordinary.
Sorry.
Also, there is plans, as popular as this was, the one retro incorporation I wanted to introduce, the next theme song will have a theremin. So, you can forward to that. 50 plus theremin equals a wonderful winning combination.
There's an 8-bit dance mix floating around.
That's
If
so
you
80s,
can- oh, it's awesome. It's awesome. They did it entirely on Game Boy.
Well, that was originally made for the unreleased Nintendo version of Inspector Spacetime.
Oh, that would have been great.
Is that the Inspector Spacetime Smash Brothers?
I think you can find the ROM somewhere online still. It exists.
Everything's available on the internet. It's
Yes.
beautiful.
God bless the internet. Anyway, yeah, we have to wrap things up, I think.
Yeah, we have to wrap things up.
I'll be over in the signing room at 2. Feel free to come by and say hi. And we've actually got some great stuff. I got Johnny Eveson designed some posters in the UK, and he shipped some to me that I'm signing for people, and also an original Inspector Spacetime headshot thing. It's amazingly cool. So,
Everybody, Brian Giovanni.